My beloved child, don't skip this fictional relationship story, because tonight you're about to discover the hidden story behind someone's silence. Stay until the very end, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you understand this connection. It has been weeks since the last real conversation. The messages have become shorter. The phone calls have stopped. The silence has grown so loud that it feels like it is saying something words never could. In this fictional story, you begin wondering if they've forgotten you, if they've moved on, or if someone else has taken your place. But the truth is far different from what you imagine. Every morning, they pick up their phone, open your conversation, and stare at your name for several minutes. They type a message, read it over and over again, then erase every word before pressing send. This happens almost every day. Not because they don't care, but because they are terrified that after so much silence, they won't know how to explain everything they've been carrying inside. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. The silence was never meant to punish you. It was never a game, and it was never a sign that your connection meant nothing. Deep inside, they have been fighting a battle that no one else could see. They kept telling themselves, "I'll reach out tomorrow. I'll explain everything tomorrow." But tomorrow kept turning into another week, and another week slowly became months. One evening, while cleaning an old drawer, they find a small photograph of the two of you smiling together. They sit quietly, holding that picture in their hands, remembering every promise, every laugh, and every dream you once shared. For the first time in a long while, they stop running from their feelings. They finally admit to themselves that silence has solved nothing. It has only created more distance between two hearts that still needed one honest conversation. That same night, they write a letter. Not to ask for forgiveness. Not to make excuses. But simply to tell the truth they have been afraid to speak. As they finish the final sentence, they whisper, "No matter what happens next, they deserve to know the real story." Without realizing it, they have just taken the first step toward breaking the silence. And tomorrow, a conversation neither of you expected is finally about to begin. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional relationship story, because tonight the silence that lasted for so long is finally beginning to break. Stay until the very end, because one honest conversation can change everything two hearts believed about each other. The next morning, they wake up earlier than usual. The letter is still lying on the table exactly where they left it. They read every word one last time, wondering if they should send it or tear it apart forever. Their hands tremble because they know that once the truth is spoken, there will be no turning back. After several minutes, they take a deep breath and send a simple message instead. "Can we meet? There's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time." Your phone vibrates unexpectedly. Seeing their name after so much silence makes your heart race. For a moment, you don't know whether to reply or ignore it. Too many unanswered questions still remain. But something inside tells you this conversation is different. That evening, you both meet at a quiet cafe where everything once felt so easy. As your eyes meet, neither of you speaks. The silence feels heavy, but this time it isn't filled with anger. It's filled with emotions that have waited too long to be expressed. Finally, they quietly say, "Thank you for coming." I know I don't deserve your time after disappearing the way I did. You softly reply, I'm not here for excuses. I'm here for the truth. They nod, lower their eyes, and begin speaking. Every day I wanted to call you. Every day I almost did. But I convinced myself that after staying silent for so long, you would never want to hear my voice again. The longer I waited, the harder it became to reach out. You listen without interrupting. For the first time, you noticed the sadness they had been hiding behind their silence. It wasn't pride. It wasn't indifference. It was fear mixed with regret. Then they slowly reach into their bag and place the handwritten letter in front of you. Everything I couldn't say is written in here. But there's one part one still don't know how to explain face to face. You look at the unopened letter. Your heart begins to beat faster. Because somehow you know. The next words they speak will reveal the real reason they disappeared, and it will change the way you've seen their silence all along. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional relationship story, because tonight the hidden story behind their silence is finally about to be revealed. Stay until the very end, because the truth they've carried alone for so long is not what you expected. With shaking hands, you slowly open the letter. Before you can finish the first paragraph, they quietly say, "Please let me explain before you judge me." You nod, and the room falls completely silent. They take a deep breath and begin. The day I stopped calling wasn't the day I stopped caring. It was the day my whole life suddenly changed. Everything around me felt like it was falling apart, and I didn't know how to tell you without making you carry my pain too. You continue listening without saying a word. I kept telling myself I would come back after I fixed everything. I wanted to return as the person you deserved. But every time I failed, I became more ashamed. The longer I stayed away, the more impossible it felt to come back. Their eyes fill with tears. You probably thought I forgot you. The truth is, not a single day passed without thinking about you. I read our old messages more times than I can count. I celebrated your victories from a distance, and I silently wished for your happiness even when I believed I no longer had a place in your life. Hearing those words, your heart begins to soften. So many unanswered questions suddenly make sense. The silence wasn't created because they stopped caring. It was created because they believed they had become a burden and were too afraid to let you see them at their lowest. They gently slide one final page of the letter toward you. There's one more truth I've never told anyone, they whisper. It's the reason I couldn't bring myself to return sooner. Your hands tremble as you unfold the last page. The very first sentence makes you stop breathing for a moment. I didn't stay silent because I stopped loving our connection. I stayed silent because I was afraid you would no longer recognize the person I had become. As you slowly lift your eyes from the letter, you realize this conversation isn't ending tonight. In fact, the most important truth has only just begun to unfold. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional relationship story, because tonight the final wall around their heart begins to fall. Stay until the very end, because the truth they've hidden for so long is finally bringing two hearts closer instead of pushing them apart. They quietly wipe the tears from their eyes and look at you for the first time without hiding. I spent so long pretending I was okay that I forgot how to ask for help, they say. I thought if you saw me struggling, you'd lose the image you once had of me. You gently shake your head. I never needed you to be perfect. I only wanted you to be honest. Those words leave them speechless. For a few moments, neither of you says anything. Then they smile sadly and admit, every birthday, every holiday, every important day, I wondered if I should call. I even dialed your number so many times, but fear always made me hang up before you answered. You slowly reach across the table and hold their hand. The silence hurt, you say softly, but not knowing why hurt even more. They nod. I know. And if I could change one thing, it wouldn't be the mistakes I made. It would be staying silent for so long. For the first time in months, both of you begin talking openly. There are no accusations. No blame. Just honesty. Every answer removes another misunderstanding. Every conversation heals another old wound. As the cafe begins to close, they reach into their pocket and take out a small keychain. Do you remember this? They ask with a smile. You laugh through your tears. It was the keychain you had given them years ago. They whisper, I carried it every single day. Even when we weren't speaking, I couldn't let it go because it reminded me that someone once believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Your eyes fill with emotion. In that moment, you realize their silence was never a lack of care. It was a struggle they didn't know how to share. As you both stand to leave, they take a deep breath and quietly say, There's one last question I need to ask you, not about the past, but about the future. You look at them with hope. A gentle smile appears on their face. If we get one more chance, can we promise that no matter how difficult life becomes, we'll never let silence speak louder than the truth again? You smile and nod. Neither of you knows it yet. But that promise is about to become the beginning of the happiest chapter of your story. My beloved child, don't skip this fictional relationship story, because this is the final chapter. The silence has finally been broken, the truth has been spoken, and two hearts are about to discover that the strongest connections are built on honesty, trust, and the courage to never give up on each other. Months pass after that unforgettable conversation. Life doesn't suddenly become perfect, but something important has changed. Neither of you hides your feelings anymore. When life becomes difficult, you talk. When fear appears, you face it together. The silence that once created distance is replaced by understanding. One evening, you return to the same cafe where everything changed. This time, there's no awkwardness. Only smiles, laughter, and peaceful conversations. Looking into your eyes, they quietly say, "Thank you for giving me another chance to tell the truth instead of letting my silence become the end of our story." You smile warmly and reply, "The truth didn't push us apart. It helped us understand each other. That's all I ever wanted." As the months turn into a year, your connection grows stronger than ever before. Both of you learn that real love isn't about never facing challenges. It's about choosing each other even when life becomes complicated. Every misunderstanding becomes a lesson. Every difficult conversation brings you closer instead of farther apart. One beautiful afternoon, surrounded by your closest family and friends, they take your hand and say, "There was a time when I believed my silence had already made me lose you forever. Today, I realize that honesty gave us the future I was too afraid to hope for." With tears of happiness in your eyes, you answer, "From this day forward, let's make one promise. No matter what life brings, we'll never let fear replace communication, and we'll never let silence decide our future." They smile and gently place a ring on your finger. The people around you applaud with joy. The journey that once seemed filled with unanswered questions has become a story of forgiveness, patience, and new beginnings. Years later, your home is filled with laughter, warmth, and peace. Whenever life presents new challenges, you remember the lesson that changed everything: the strongest relationships are not the ones without problems. They are the ones where two people choose honesty, kindness, and understanding every single day. As the sun sets outside your window, you find the old letter that once held so much fear. You read the first line, smile, and carefully place it back into its envelope. This letter no longer reminds us of silence, you whisper. It reminds us of the day we found the courage to tell the truth. Hand in hand, you step into the future with grateful hearts, knowing that the hidden story behind the silence was never meant to end your connection. It was meant to teach both of you that trust grows through honesty, love grows through patience, and every new beginning starts with one brave conversation. And in this fictional story, two hearts that were almost separated by silence found their way back to each other, built a life filled with peace, and proved that the most beautiful endings begin the moment fear loses its power and truth finally speaks.